right, what is up, everyone? Can you guys hear me okay? Give me a couple people, give me a couple of thumbs up if you can hear me. Sarah, Oregon Mike. Scott McDonald, Merry Christmas, my friend. Oregon Mike, Merry Christmas. Sarah, Merry Christmas. So I just want to tell you guys that I think Sarah takes the cake for getting the coolest Christmas present of anyone. I'm going to see if I have a picture here of it. Sarah, is it going to be totally, hopefully it's not going to be an infringement on your privacy, Sarah, if I show everyone your Christmas present. I just think that it's so badass. So check out what Sarah got for Christmas, which seems totally exactly like what something Jamie would get her for Christmas. So it doesn't surprise me at all, but very cool Christmas gift. So the next time that Sarah and Jamie are out on a overland trip with me, Sarah and I are probably going to be rabbit hunting with that thing. I think that's going to be a game getter, new bug out rifle for sure. All right, guys, I have all kinds of craziness going on in this room right here. I'm actually testing out a whole bunch of stuff. I have my new refrigerator that I got for Christmas from Lolo Overland, my new 12 volt. It's 12 volt, 120 volt vehicle fridge. I have it hooked up to my Blackfire portable power station, and I'm basically running a test to see how long my refrigerator will run off of that Blackfire portable power station. So it's been going since about 9 o'clock this morning. And let me check the Blackfire and see. And the Blackfire is down to 69%. So I've got the cooler set at 27 degrees, just down below freezing a little bit. So I'm really stoked about that. I think I'm going to be able to power that freezer off of my Blackfire. Probably, it's looking like maybe for a couple of days around camp. I'm doing this in the house. I have the ambient temperature in my house set at like 72 degrees. So yeah, I think it's going to be working. And then I've had this light sitting here on also since 9 o'clock this morning. So this is a Claymore Light. And this was just another, I've really been liking the quality and the functionality of these Claymore lights. This one is designed to actually hang. It has a little strip of Velcro here. So what I'm playing around with this one for is the light for inside the back of the canopy of my new, not my new, but my grandpa's truck that I'm fixing up. So one thing that I do is I always test gear pretty extensively before I put it in my loadout. So I've got a couple of gear tests going there. So hopefully if that cooler kicks on, the compressor won't be too loud and bug us. Holy smokes, we got a bunch of people here. Yeah, Jamie says he's jealous of what he bought. Southern Edge 13, you like the don't tread sign, huh? Yeah, I was sporting the John Wayne one there last week. A couple of people liked that too. Simon from Australia, man, way across the pond. Some cool country down there. I'm going to get down to Australia someday. Rob Brown from Eastern Pennsylvania, Southwest Idaho overlanding. George made it. Excellent, my friend. Doug Landsberg, upstate New York. Let's see, who else do we have on here? Nate Zoinks. Awesome, man. How are you? Hopefully you had an awesome Christmas, Nate. Rocky Nelson from Colorado. Oh, there's somebody on here who's apparently found me, saw me out there in the Tumalo area. Yeah, no, I was looking around. There's out in Tumalo there. Well, there's quite a bit of history out there. The history of them building the reservoir, the irrigation district, a bunch of homesteads out there. So just kicking around out there. Fat Matt, there we go. Jacqueline, Carol. Okay, so Fat Matt Adventures. You guys, hey, I want to give a real shout out real quick to Fat Matt Adventures. I actually went over and checked out his YouTube channel, watched a couple of his videos. That's really cool. I'm guessing that's your boy Matt that you drag along with you out there on the adventures. I think that's really cool. I like you guys seem like you're having a good time doing whatever it is you're doing. Alvin the Texans asking any arrowheads on my adventures. Always find arrowheads almost every time I go out when there's not snow over the ground. Hi, Angie. Another one from Texas. Gray Sandman. Daniel Tolman from Coquille. Full survival. Yeah, I had a great Christmas, my friend. Great Christmas. Gun Dog's in the house, man. Gun Dog, you should Instagram me whatever it is you're eating right now, because I know you're eating something, my friend. I know you're eating something badass. I always see your pictures fly across my Instagram feed, and it always makes me hungry. Yeah, if you guys don't, you should go check out Gun Dog's channel. And I always get the numbers messed up, but it is Gundog 4314, and he does all kinds of reviews on MREs, all kinds of stuff like that. MREs, different food items, but mostly MREs, but really, really cool stuff, man. I've been watching his videos for a long time. Let's see, Alvin the Texan, my man. Vega Venturing from Portland. How's it going, my friend? Derek Simmons from California. Beck P from Michigan. So we got a couple from Michigan. Prepping Life from Iowa. Will Crawford from Albany. George Cooley from Washington. Running a TJ. That's pretty awesome. Rick Hofford again. Hello from North Dakota. All right. So it looks like we're getting a pretty good crowd here. So couple of things real quick, guys. I have a couple of topics, just so a little bit of a reminder. So the format we're settling into here is I generally start with a couple of topics that have come out of user-generated questions and everything. So I've got a couple of those tonight that I think you guys are going to enjoy. But along the way, okay, so back to format. So a couple of user-generated topics. Then I've got a few shout-outs I like to do. I'll bring you up to speed on anything going on and just generally speaking in the Coyote Works channel and world. And then also hit me up with any questions along the way, and we'll just see where this madness takes us. I always love the comment section, guys. Love to see you interacting with each other there in the comments too. Remember the super chats. That's kind of like the tip jar. There's also a tip jar down in the description below. But if you like what I'm doing with my channel and you want to contribute a couple of bucks, that's always appreciated, and it helps a whole bunch. The super chat on here just makes your message stay up there. So if you have a question that you want to make or a comment that you want to make sure I see, then throw it in the super chat up there. Otherwise, let us have some fun. We got R. Mark from Coos Bay. Mark Taniguchi. How's it going, my friend? I probably butchered your name, but he's all over my Instagram feed. We've been following each other for a long time, man. Oh, I see my buddy Campin' Mike, Lone Wolf and K9 Buddy Overlander on YouTube. So, yeah, I want to give a big shout out to Camping Mike. Camping #1 made an extremely generous super chat donation last week. So Merry Christmas to me. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate that. And so Mike is also Camping Mike and K9 Buddy on Instagram. So go give him a follow over on Instagram. And then it looks like he's on YouTube here too, Lone Wolf and K9 Buddy. So hit him up, give him a shout out. But the cool thing that I wanted to say about Camping Mike is I met Mike the first time at the first Coyote Works group overlanding trip. And he had his first kind of overland vehicle that he was fixing up was a little Jeep SUV. Super cool guy, had good gear, and just decided that he was going to take off and start touring the country in sort of quasi-retirement. And so Mike's upgraded rigs a couple of times since then. Now he's out rocking a Ford with a backpack camper on it, and he's out there doing his thing, man, traveling solo across the country and staying in some really cool places. He sent me a text message earlier, and he said he's up on the north rim of the Grand Canyon. Yep. camping on the north rim of the Grand Canyon, got about a quarter of a mile drop about 40 yards outside of his camp. So give Mike and Buddy a follow on Instagram or YouTube, and pretty cool seeing his adventures out there. And we usually try to hook up a couple of times a year. So outside of that, let's get into this. So one question that comes up a lot is related to survival stuff. And you guys know that I've talked about this before, but you know, I have actually a pretty extensive background in wilderness survival and bushcraft and hunting and those types of things. So I thought I'd incorporate, and I'll probably do this fairly regularly in the camp talks. Nice, Jamie, my man. What is the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow? That is 0.1 Mach. It's just the perfect speed that you want to lead them by about 6 feet when you're shooting at them with a blunderbuss when they're on the wing. So nailed that one, man. I bet you thought I didn't know the answer to that. Charlie Foxtrot, thanks, my friend. Charlie says, last week you gave top 3 mods. He has a 90 Toyota pickup with a lift kit and approximately 10-inch differential clearance. Do I suggest a diff guard, or is 10 okay? Well, I would say, man, if you want a diff guard, it's extra insurance for sure. But 10 inches, if your diff is 10 inches off the ground, man, that I would call that pretty solid, good clearance. I doubt mine is, mine might be sitting right at 10 inches, but I would say getting that diff, and usually I never run into issues at about 10 inches. So I'd say you're good, man. Lone Wolf and Canine Buddy. Awesome, Mike. Yep, so Mike confirms. Camping Mike, Lone Wolf confirms that he and Canine Buddy is his dog, for those of you that don't know, constant companion out there. They're on the north rim of the Grand Canyons, and it's 30 degrees. Looking for a low of 8 tonight. So anyway, back to the survival stuff. So one thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about, this came up, and actually a couple of questions were kind of related to it, but one guy very specifically asked me, what do I, Fat Matt, thank you, my friend. Merry Christmas to you. Really appreciate the support, my friend. Really appreciate the support. So the question that was asked of me was, you know, what is kind of the minimum that I want to have on me when I walk away from my vehicle and go on a hike? So what I wanted to talk about today is, like, when you're out overlanding and in really remote areas, your vehicle to a large extent is your lifeline, right? Like, that's where all of your base level of kit is at. So, but if you're like me, a lot of times what you like to do is you like to take off and go hike and maybe find a homestead site or go someplace where the road can't take you. So I just wanted to share a couple of things with you guys about that. So most of you have probably seen, I'll change this camera a little bit, my Hill People Gear chest pack. So this straps right on my chest like this, and this is basically my kind of minimum level of kit that I'll generally have with me. And here's the money here. Here's the rule of thumb is that if I'm going to walk out of sight of my vehicle, I want at least some basic kind of survival supplies with me. So if I'm going more than a quarter of a mile or a half a mile or something from my vehicle, I'm probably going to grab this Hill People Gear chest pack, and then I'm going to grab to go with it some kind of a stainless steel water bottle. So I get to ask this question a lot, which is, what do I have in my Hill People Gear chest pack? So I thought I'd just take a couple of minutes and show you guys that. So this has some basic survival items in it, but it also has some things that I just find really handy for the type of exploring that I do. So one thing is I always have a pair of these Mechanics Wear original gloves in here. When I'm kicking around homesteads, a lot of times I like to grab boards or move rocks around, looking for kind of artifacts and relics and looking for signs of what the history was like. So it's super important to protect your hands, like boards, rusty nails, things like that. A little bit of a cut or an infection out there can turn into a pretty serious issue. So going on beyond that, what is inside of it? So the way this works is I unzip this pocket, this opens up, and I've got a little shelf here that I can access all my gear. So let me just go into some of the stuff that's going to be in my basic kit, or in this case, this is the stuff that rides in my Hill People Gear chest pack all the time. This is just a cotton bandana, and these can come in handy for a ton of stuff. It can be a dust mask. It can be a face covering or a hat covering to shelter from the sun. It can be something to soak up water or to pre-filter water out of the ground. I can scrape a little bit of, I can take a knife and scrape it like this, and I can scrape some lint off of it, and that makes perfect fire tinder. There's just a whole plethora of things that you can do with a cotton bandana. But it's really important that it's cotton. If you get a polyester one, that's not going to work. So we've got the bandana. Another thing that I throw in almost all of my survival kits is one of these emergency blankets. This is one of these Mylar emergency blankets. Now, the reason why I do this is because these also can come in handy for a bunch of different things. But one is it can actually be, they're fairly flimsy, but they can work as a makeshift little tarp to stretch across some branches and keep some water off of you. So if I need to build a field expedient shelter, I actually can with these. They also are really good if I get it behind me a little bit and get a fire in front of me. These things are awesome at reflecting the heat of the fire back toward me. So shelter item right there. Beyond that, I carry a knife sharpener. This is just a diamond steel knife sharpener. A quick way to be able to polish up an edge on a knife or an axe or something like that. I'm always going to have a spoon, or in this case, a spork, for a couple of reasons. Number one, I really like to eat. And so just in case I happen to be around anybody that's fixing something delicious to eat, I want to have a spoon handy. I never want that to be the reason I can't partake in a delicious meal. Also, something that's relatively difficult to recreate in the field. Not impossible, but it's so light. It's titanium. So number of things. I carry a headlamp. I always am going to have a headlamp with me out there. I carry a fire steel also. This is a way to make fire. As you guys know, I'm always also going to have a Bic lighter and a knife in my pocket, but I like to double up in a survival situation. I like to double up on the super critical stuff. Beyond that, I do carry a knife in here. And again, even though I'm also going to have a knife on my person, this is a really light, thin knife. This is the Rat. I forget what they are. The Rat Model 1 Ontario knife. It's just the Rat folder, but they're not very expensive. They're like $50 knives, but they work really, really well. Then I've got in this case, I've got a Millennium Bar. This is about, let me see how many calories it is. Yeah, this is 400 calories right here. So I always like to have a little emergency ration bar in there just in case. Not because I can't survive for a day or two without it, but because it certainly makes my mental processes work a lot better and makes life a lot more bearable. Then I'm going to have a flashlight. In this case, this is a Surefire flashlight. Good basic. This is the Surefire Nitro flashlight. So just a good durable light, nice and bright. I think it's like 600 lumens or something like that. Okay, Charlie Foxtrot has got a question down there. He remembers a while back when I trained with Drew Estelle from Bear Solutions. By the way, that was really, really awesome firearms training. And he's asking if I've ever trained at Thunder Ranch or Inside in the Seattle area. I haven't trained at either of those places. I would really like to make it to Thunder Ranch while Clint Smith is still teaching down there. So another item that I carry is a good old-fashioned compass, right? And this compass is set up so that this is a compass that gives me the ability to be able to sight off of a distant landmark and take a back azimuth. The reason why I carry an old school compass is because, well, this is probably something I'll talk in a little bit more detail about some other time, but obviously, number one, in case all of my electronic navigation devices fail, this is a foolproof. But another reason why I carry this is because I always have a secondary or a backup navigation plan. And what I mean by that is, like, when I leave civilization, no matter where I'm at, I always have an idea of what is the shortest distance by vehicle and what is the shortest distance by foot to a place where I might be able to effect some kind of assistance. So, for example, if I'm up in the Ochco Mountains and I'm over on this side, the side that I live on of the Ochco Mountains, I know basically that if I go south, I am eventually going to hit a road. And I'm probably not going to be any more than, 40 miles or something from a paved road that gets some traffic, maybe a lot less than that. So what my compass is for is my compass always gives me the ability to be able to orient myself in a direction and go. Now, I can do that by using landmarks and terrain navigation, but I can only terrain orient in the daylight or if there's a bright moon. So that's where the compass comes in. The compass gives me the ability to be able to navigate or at least be able to stay straight on a course or a bearing regardless of the time of day or night. So to me, a compass is a really important thing. Outside of that, I've got, here's something. This is a guy, actually a Delta Force operator, TS, that I trained with, turned me on to these. These are these Voke. These are caffeine tablets. And you guys know how caffeine dependent I am, right? But the reason why these things come in handy at certain times is because I can ingest caffeine without ingesting fluid, mainly when I'm driving long distances in the vehicle and I don't want to have to make a lot of bathroom stops, but also they come in really handy on a trail. Plus, these are pretty clean energy. They have a lot of vitamins and stuff in them too. So take it from a special forces dude. These things are awesome, and these are the money. And they literally will pick me up. I mean, if I'm slept underneath a ponderosa pine tree and got 1 hour of sleep all night, I can pop one of these in the morning and I'm good to go for about 5-6 hours. My mind gets sharper and everything. So, this kind of stuff's not for everybody, and I rarely ever use them, but they're just there for an emergency. Bic lighter in there, some alcohol swabs. I have these in here for a couple of reasons. One, sanitize my hands in case I, have to field dress any small game or anything like that. I can clean up my hands, but also they make excellent little fire starter. They have alcohol in them, so they flame really good. And then beyond that, well, because you guys know how much I like caffeine, here's some instant coffee packets in there. And that's pretty much what I carry in there. I usually do also have a couple of ibuprofen, Advil. I do get heartburn occasionally, so I usually throw a couple of heartburn medicines in there. But mostly I just have some Advil or some Motrin in there. So that's kind of it, guys. That's what I keep in my basic walk away from the vehicle kit. All of that stuff in conjunction with a stainless steel water bottle that a lot of times I'll just clip with a carabiner to my belt. But with that gear right there, I can very comfortably spend the night out away from my vehicle. If I get lost, turned around, if I get wounded, that's enough basic kit for me to actually not just survive, but be relatively comfortable. So having said all that, I thought I would also show you guys a couple of other kits that I do. So this is a really good tip. This is a simple way to make sure that you have some basic survival kit wherever you go. So I'm going to show you a format that I put together for little kits that I throw in backpacks, that I put in. You're never going to find me someplace where I don't have one of these little survival kits close at hand. So this is a really good thing for any of you guys that have a little vehicle pack or something like that. It's this simple to do a survival kit. And these items right here can keep you alive actually for a long time. So what do I have here? So the basis of it is some kind of a metal cup, right? The reason why it's a metal cup is because a metal cup also is a cooking vessel, right? So if you can make fire, you can cook something in a metal cup, or you can boil water in it to make the water potable. Craig, how are you, my man? I wasn't sure if you were going to make it. You made it. Thank you, sir. So the basis for my, let's just call this the Coyote Works basic fundamental survival kit. Basic fundamental survival kit. BFSK. We'll go with that. So here's what's in it. Really, really simple. Metal cup, titanium, aluminum, stainless steel, doesn't really matter. You can see this one. I have cooked over many campfire with this cup, right? Second thing, just like you saw in my Hill People Gear chest pack, an emergency blanket. This one is a little bit better one. This is a two-person one. I have gone recently to buying the two-person ones just because they're larger. So that gives me more possibilities for making shelter. Ways to make fire, 2 lighters. In this case, this is about 340 calories, energy bar, MRE spoon, and some cordage. This is about 25 feet of bank line right here. So with this little kit, with a stainless steel cup, a way to make fire, a way to make shelter, and a few calories, as long as I can find a water source or melt some snow, this is enough kit that I can survive off of for a night. Now, keep in mind, this is going to stack on top of whatever you have on your person. So in my case, there's never a time, never ever a time that I don't have a knife on me, right? So I don't have a knife in these little kits. But I would just really, really encourage you guys. This is so simple to do, is just put together this little survival kit right here, just like this one. In fact, I'm going to stuff everything back in here. Look at that. So I would really encourage you to put together a couple of these, and whatever backpack or anything you grab, make sure this is in there. Okay, what do we have? Nick Thang. Hello from Hail from Nick and Sarah in Chelan, Washington, and Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, you guys. Oh, Nick saying he just got his Everly stock battleship packed and cannot wait for a breakdown of my inch pack. I started to work on that actually. Was it the day after Christmas or Christmas Day? I started to work on that. That's going to be a long video, but I will get that out to you guys soon. That's awesome, Nick. I really like that pack. Okay. Oh yeah, look at that. Speak of the devil. So somebody just commented on here. It went by, so I didn't see who it was, but somebody commented on here, you know, another potential thing, good survival item is like a life straw. That is true. What I run into out in the desert country is that most of the water sources have so much silt in them that they clog up those fine water filters really fast. So what I generally will do is I will filter water through clothing first to get all the particles out of it, and then just boil it. That seems to be I don't know, that's the way I've been doing it for years. I do have, like in my inch pack, I've got Sawyer filters and things like that. So I do have water filters. In fact, I thought I had a Life Straw Land here I was going to show and tell you guys, but apparently I just didn't have my stuff all the way together. So, all right. So any questions about the survival stuff? Yeah, good call, Jamie. That's what it had us for, definitely. Cool, Darren Ferguson, you got your Ready Light. That is one of my all-time favorite pieces of kit, and I've had that for a long time. Fat Matt, BFSK, Metal Cup, nice job. Nice. Okay, so Craig is asking me if I've tried the Garmin 750i with InReach. Hang on, I'll grab mine. I don't know what model it is. How fast was that, guys? Okay, so Craig, this is the Garmin InReach that I have. I'm not sure what model it is. This is the Explorer. It just says Explorer Plus on it. Yeah, so I don't know what that 750i is, but I can attest to the fact that this inReach system is awesome. I've now used this on 2 trips. It's got this SOS button right here on the side that's actually covered up really well by this. You have to actually physically pop that open to get at the SOS button. You can hit that SOS button and that'll get search and rescue on its way to you. But the most likely thing is it gives you the ability to send text messages via the satellite. There's an EarthMate app on that you sync with on your cell phone, and this allows you to be able to type messages and send and receive. Basically, your phone connects with the inReach, and the inReach connects to the satellite. It gives you the ability to be able to send messages back and forth. So what I can tell you, Craig, is the inReach system is awesome. I'm 100% sold on it. Let's see. Ken Heron is asking layer knife. I'm not sure what you mean, my friend. Not sure what you mean. Any chance of Coyote Works zip up hoodies? Yeah, they're available right now on the Lolo Overland website. Yeah, go to Lolo Overland. Just Google Lolo Overland Outfitters, and they're right there on their website, all sizes. And right now the only color they have is like this black camo, or this multi-cam black kind of camo color. Apparently there's a national shortage on black hoodies, so we've been struggling to get black, but we have camo in. Awesome. Yeah, Craig says he's getting ready to purchase one. Yeah, and then looks like Vega Venturing also has that same inReach, has had good experience with it. That's good. Oh, and Jamie said he got that Claymore hat light, man. That's awesome. Yeah. Okay, so I've got a couple other topics to talk to you guys about. I just want to check and see if there was any huge questions coming out there. But real quick, a couple of business items. I know, I'm sorry, you guys, but you have to get through this every time. So there is Coyote Works merchandise available at Lolo Overland Outfitters. There's also a tip jar PayPal donate link in the description of this video down below for any of you that want to make a monetary contribution to my channel. I always like to give a shout out to Chad over at CK Knife and Tool. He makes the Coyote Works survival knife. So the Coyote Works and Coyote Works Pup, the 1.0 and 2.0 survival knives, those are available from Chad up at CK Knife and Tool. And yeah, I think that's it. That takes care of the business this week. Did I get everything right, Daniel from Lolo? If you're on here, chime in about the merch. I don't know if Daniel's on tonight. So, all right. So let's dive into the next one, guys. So this is probably the one of the #1 questions that I get asked on my channel, and I'm going to try to make this explanation kind of concise, but basically the question is, where did the name Coyote Works come from? So there's a little bit of a story back there around the origin of the Coyote Works channel that involves an old friend of mine, good buddy, good solid dude. We're not in touch anymore, but at one point there was he and I had an idea of doing something together, and that didn't pan out. And so I kind of forged ahead with the Coyote Works. But the name Coyote Works is actually, to me, is fairly meaningful. So I'm going to give you guys a little bit of insight into what the name Coyote Works is. And I did post on Instagram that a lot of you guys saw, and you probably saw in that post that there was a picture of a skunk in there. And you're probably like, what in the heck? Why is Coyote Works putting a picture of a skunk in there? Well, I'm about to tell you guys. So that's half of the Coyote Works logo. Or maybe not my first love, the core love is kind of wilderness survival, bushcraft, woodcraft. I would call it kind of old school outdoorsmanship. And you guys can see that even in my channel today, right? Like, I don't have a super built out rig or anything like that. Like, I really enjoy campcraft. I really enjoy a certain amount of camp setup and everything. obviously enjoy wilderness survival and stuff like that. So the name Coyote Works really comes from two places. The first being, the other thing that you guys all know is my love for history. And so the works part of Coyote Works is Coyote Works in part is a play on, if any of you have heard of Skunk Works. So Skunk Works was sort of this think tank created by Lockheed Martin in 1943. And it was basically the group of engineers and scientists that were tasked with coming up with the next military technology. And one of the things that had happened at the time was that I believe it was either the Russians or the Germans. The Germans, I believe it was, had come out with a jet fighter. And they were the first to do that. So one of the first things that Skunk Works was tasked with was to design a jet fighter for the United States, which they did. And then basically Skunk Works was sort of this autonomous group that was in essence kind of given a blank check and really tasked with thinking outside of the box to develop the next military technology. And over time, some of this stuff has since been declassified, but now what we know is that one of the earlier things that Skunk Works created was the U-2 spy plane, the stealth bomber and stealth fighter technology, and on and on and on. Several pretty significant aircraft for the military, and a lot of technology that actually some variation of is still in use today. So part of the Coyote Works comes from as sort of a play on Skunk Works. Skunk Works being synonymous for thinking outside of the box, getting creative, being inventive. And to me, that's really a part of being comfortable in the outdoors, whether it be overlanding or camping or woodcraft, bushcraft, hunting, whatever it is, you name it. A big part of being in the outdoors is to be able to look at your natural environment around you, assess what you have to work with, and use your creativity to turn that into the environment that you want, right? If you're out in nature and nature is throwing harsh conditions at you, then what you're tasked with or what you're left with is you're left with looking at what tools is nature providing you with and how can you use those tools to create the environment that you want or the environment that's more comfortable. So really a similar concept to the idea behind Skunk Works or the core mission of Skunk Works, which is think outside of the box. But also at the same time, it's a nod to my love for history. Skunk Works was a really kind of pivotal kind of moment in military history and Cold War technology and everything. So that's part of it. The other part of it is I replaced skunk with coyote, so it's Coyote Works instead of Skunk Works. Obviously, the coyote similarly is one of the most adaptable animals in the entire world, right? You can find coyotes living in urban areas, in rainforests, in deserts, and they're all the way down into Mexico, all the way north up into Canada. They're all over. They're all the way back through the Rocky Mountains, the Midwest, all over. So coyotes are very prolific, adaptable. They survive in almost any environment. Same thing. Another nod to the mindset or the set of characteristics or personality characteristics that predispose you to success in the outdoors. Adaptability, the ability to be able to make do with what you have, right? You find, this is going to get a little graphic, but like if you look at coyote poop when you're out in the desert or wherever you're at, when you stumble across coyote poop, and you look at everything that's in it at certain times a year, it'll be full of juniper berries. It'll have small rabbit bones. It'll have small bird bones. It'll have, fur from carcasses. It'll have, all kinds of things in them. So basically, Coyote Works comes from Skunk Works and the coyote. It combines a nod to history, but predominantly the core of it is, the core of it is the kind of mindset that you need to be successful in the outdoors, successful and or comfortable in the outdoors, and a nod to history that obviously I love. So awesome. AJ says, smash that button. So I'm curious if at this point, Oh yeah, Dirt Bandit. Yeah, I'm glad you were able to jump on, man. Um, yeah, so that's a little bit about where the name Coyote Works came from, and initially there was also, as you guys have gotten to know me a little bit, that I'm maybe a little dry about it, but but I like to kind of keep things light and fun for the most part too. So there was just a shade of lightheartedness thrown in there as well. Um, all right, so Jackie wants to talk about the motorcycle in the picture. So, all right, so this is kind of an interesting thing. So you guys all know the story of my grandpa's truck by now. My 2 years ago, my grandfather died in February, and then last year on Thanksgiving, my dad died. So the so I had to think about how much I really want to go into here. So, while my grandfather's first love was the outdoors and the pickup truck and everything like that, my dad really loved motorcycles. So that Harley was my dad's, and I inherited that. He had always told me for years and years and years, Casey, if something happens to me, make sure you get that bike. My dad loved that bike. Here's the problem. I don't really love motorcycles. I'm just not that into them. I rode them for a while when I was young. I rode dirt bikes. I had a Harley Davidson. I built an old Harley Davidson. I built a 1964 Harley Davidson, kind of from the ground up when I was in my early 20s, but mainly because I liked the nostalgia and the old bike. I rode it for about a year and then turned around and sold it. So now I have this Harley Davidson sitting in my garage, and it is a hot rod. It's a 2007 Heritage Softail. It's got the Harley Davidson dealership put a new Screaming Eagle 110 cubic inch performance motor in it. It's a hot rod. It's been impeccably taken care of, but ultimately I just need to sell it. So if any of you guys have any interest in a Coyote Works lineage Harley Davidson, I could probably slap a Coyote Works sticker on it. Yeah, I thought long and hard about, is there anything that I could do with it to to use it out in the backcountry? But it's just not well suited to that. So it's a oh yeah, Patrick Menard, Panheads Rock. You know it, man. You know it. So you know a little bit about the history of the Harleys too. Yeah, so anyway, I have in my garage sitting this Heritage Softail, and I don't know, it's wintertime now, but I'll probably get serious about selling it in the spring. And yeah, so hit me up if you're interested at all. You can send me an email or send me a message on here. So oh yeah, I was going to show you guys this. So here's a couple. I just found this picture. These all came out of Skunk Works. These are all airplanes that U-2, the Stealth Fighters, I think those all came out of Skunk Works. This was another, I think this is a P-38, but I'm probably wrong about that. So anybody that knows military planes, let me know. But I believe that was one of Lockheed Martin's earlier planes from Skunk Works. Oh, Fat Matt saying do a raffle, huh? Do a raffle for the motorcycle? Is that what you're saying? An ADV with Roscoe saying, let's go for a ride before I sell it. Do you have one, Charles? You have a Harley? Trade the HD in for the new HD Pan American so you can go off-road. I haven't even heard of that. So there's an off-road one now? Okay, so Scott says that's the P-38 Lightning that I just showed a picture of. How are we doing on time here? Oh, yeah, we're golden, man. Wow, Sarah said she got to see the SR-71 Blackbird up close and personal. Hey, Woodworker 922.5 said he had a 1976 Schwinn banana seat with 8 bars. I think I had that same bike, man. It was a hand-me-down, but Yeah, I had that. Oh, so it wasn't Fat Matt's idea, but some people are thinking that I should do a raffle. Maybe I should do a raffle of the motorcycle and give it away at the next Coyote Works group Overland trip. Man, I don't know. I would have to sell a lot of raffle tickets, so I need to get some money out of that thing. You look at that, built for exploration, said that raffle at the next Coyote Works meetup. P38 is correct. Yep. Yep. Woodworker 5225. Loved that bike, man. Yep. Yeah, Dirt Bandit Outdoor says he thinks he'd be scared to ride an outdoor in today's world. Yeah, man. I mean, that's the thing is, and there's just not that many. I don't know. It's just not really my thing. You can't carry that much gear on it, and I think Grant Reed's asking about when is that next Coyote Works group Overland trip. I'm really hoping to do one in the spring. The thing is, I just have to find a place. It's just really kind of outgrown what I can safely do on public land. So I think I've mentioned this in every single Coyote Works live, but this is, yeah, again, if you guys want to throw money in the tip jar. So I'm just saving every penny right now. There's a couple of pieces of land I'm looking at that are way out in the middle of nowhere that are surrounded by public land that would be awesome places. So my next plan is to be able to get enough money together to buy a piece of land that I can have the Coyote Works group Overland trips on, those open invite trips where just anyone is invited and welcome to come, and then also kind of set up Overland base camp thing. So yeah. Yeah, actually, so Jason Perry saying the Alvord would be good. That the Alvord would be awesome. The Alvord does get quite a bit of, it is getting more and more people there all the time now. It's getting pretty crowded in the summertime. So we'd have to, get off the beaten path a little bit just so we make sure that we don't get ourselves into trouble. The problem is with the number of people that are coming now to the Coyote Works group Overland, it really is kind of pushing the envelope of what is considered an organized event. The spirit of it and what I really want is I really want it to just be a okay, so Charlie Foxtrot's got a question and he did a super chat. So I want to make sure that I got that question answered. And then it looked like awesome, Sarah. So Sarah threw a couple of bucks into the land fund. Yes. All right, that helps. So Charlie Foxtrot's asking a question. I get this question a lot. I probably answer it a lot too, but I think it's worth saying. So Charlie's question is, for a first timer, how do I get into overlanding correctly? So I would say that the simplest answer to that question is get a decently capable factory vehicle. It doesn't have to be something too spectacular or anything like that. But if you've got a four-wheel drive with a little bit of ground clearance, like, certainly helps. Now, having said that, you don't necessarily need that. Like, I would say the minimum that you need to get into overlanding correctly, if you will, is start using Google Earth and start looking at areas that seem interesting to you that you would want to check out. I'm going to give a little shout out to a guy, Ted, Black Pearl Voyager. If you guys don't follow Black Pearl Voyager on Instagram or on YouTube, go check him out. The reason that he leaves these cool little your Jeep is sweet, you've been ducked things on people's Jeeps around, but the reason, Charlie, why I mentioned Black Pearl Voyager is because he is really doing exactly what I would recommend someone to do, and that is just start taking day trips into areas that are really interesting that you want to see. To me, the essence of overlanding is getting off the beaten path and kind of is more the exploring aspect of it, right? The just taking roads that you haven't taken before and seeing where they go. And that takes a little bit of research on like Google Earth and stuff to find roads that can actually, get you someplace that you can travel, especially if you live like back east or something where there's a lot more public land. But I would really say the simple answer is just start driving places that you're interested in exploring. And that will slowly start allow you to be able to get used to how to find, let's see, Rebel Viking says, I want to be the farthest person away to go on your next overland trip get together. I'm in Georgia. You might be in Georgia, actually. I don't know, man. I don't know if Georgia's farther than Tennessee, man. I've got a guy that comes from Tennessee, so you may not be the farthest, but that would be pretty awesome. And then, so Charlie goes on to ask, do I start at a terrain park to cut my teeth? So I would say, to develop your skills at handling technical terrain, four-wheel driving, off-roading, I would say that's a great place to start, is at a terrain park. But the flip side of that is there's also a lot of places to explore that you don't really need a lot of technical driving ability. So what I would say is, if you have that chance to get to a terrain park and develop your technical driving ability, do that. That will come in handy. But don't wait unless you feel like it. You don't have to wait until you have that. You can start to explore places where you don't need a lot of technical driving ability before then. So I would look at another one of the first things I would do is I would get yourself an application like Gaia GPS or Onyx Off-Road or Backcountry Navigator. So one of those map softwares will give you the ability to look at maps of roads and trails and also look at terrain and pick places to go. They will also give you the ability to be able to navigate when you in places where you don't have cell phone reception. You can download your maps on those apps prior to going out. So I would say decently capable vehicle, doesn't have to be anything too fancy. Start getting used to mapping apps. Pick one. It doesn't really matter which one. Pick one. Gaia GPS, Onyx Off-Road, or Backcountry Navigator are the three that I hear the most about. Start playing around with it, and then just start going on little drives. Start with a Sunday drive, go to a forest that's near you or some backcountry. Frogman, what up, my brother? Go do some driving, and while you're doing that, you'll be learning how to use your navigator at the same time as you're hitting that terrain park here and there and getting a little better at your technical off-road driving. And that will just kind of evolve into going farther and farther and farther. And eventually, and this doesn't necessarily have to even take very long, but within a short period of time, you'll start to feel comfortable enough and you'll really want to go overnight. And probably the reason why you want to go overnight is not because you just want to go camping, but because you want to go find something or explore something that's far enough away that you need to spend the night in order to be able to cover that distance. So I hope that helps, man. And send me a message. I'm always happy to back and forth on stuff like that and help you get started. And I think that I get so much out of being out there in the back roads and being out there in the back country that I love helping other people get there. Okay, so Patriot Jeeps in Northwest Florida just had to take his new Gazelle tent out last night. It was 23 degrees Fahrenheit. Survived based on your tips. Thanks, man. Glad my tips could help. So here's the funny thing, man. I just ordered one of those Gazelle tents. That was my Christmas present to myself, as I ordered one of those Gazelle tents, because I'm doing a loadout for tent camping out. Well, I don't want to give too much away, but I'm going to do some tent camping out of the back of my grandpa's truck, my 21-year-old truck that I'm building into my second Overland rig, with the help of my buddies up at Lolo Overland, man. So I'm super excited but that Gazelle tent looks out, and that's awesome, Patriot Jeep, that to hear that it worked out really good for you in 23 degree Fahrenheit, because that's kind of what the temps are around here that I'm running into. So that's awesome, man. Which one did you get? Did you get the T4, the T4 Plus? I'm just curious, Patriot Jeep, which one you got. All right, so then William Harden asks, all-terrain or mud terrain? I love this question. So I run mud terrains. Here's the downside to running mud terrains. Generally, they're noisy, they don't drive as well, and they don't wear as well on highway, right? When you're running lots of highway miles. So So if those are your top priorities, if you want something that handles super well on the pavement, that gets good, here's another thing about mud terrains. Mud terrains do not get good traction on ice or super packed snow, right? So if those are things that are important to you, then go with all terrains. You can get an all terrain that does all those things, right? Here's why I run mud terrains. 2 or 3 times a year, I'm in a position where where that extra traction really comes in handy. So I am willing to sacrifice those other things about a mud terrain so that when I need them, I have them. And that's really the bottom line. That's what it comes down to for me. I'm willing to pay a little bit extra in not getting quite as many miles out of them and everything, just for that peace of mind of knowing that I've got that extra traction when I really need it. So I hope that answers your question, Bill. I would even take that a step further, and I'll also tell you what currently my favorite mud terrain tire is, the Nitto Trail Grappler. I really like that tire, man. The only thing I don't like about that tire is I haven't had really good luck with it wearing super well. But other than that, traction-wise, performance, yeah, and Odie Slim brings up a good point. The mud terrains suck in sand as well. So one thing, and I know I'm probably going to spark off a whole controversy and argument about this, but at the end of the day, like certain surfaces are about having the maximum amount of rubber in contact with the surface, right? So if you think about a mud terrain tire with big open lugs, and you think about that rolling on a flat, smooth surface like ice, a mud terrain tire is going to have much less rubber in contact with that ice or that pavement than an all-terrain or a highway tire or something like that. So now the flip side is when you're in soft terrain, when you're in gummy clay or mud, or even in some cases, you know, really deep snow, that those wide lugs on that mud terrain tire are going to tend to self-clean if you have a good one. They'll constantly be kicking the debris back out of those lugs so that those lugs can be gripping and grabbing. They also generally have pretty good side lugs on them. And Odie Slim saying general grabbers suck in the sand even if deflated. So Jules Lee brings up that he lets the pressure right down in sand and does okay with the muds. Yeah, interesting. And I don't have a ton of experience in sand. Mostly what I have experience in is mud, snow, and rocky terrain. And even like the mud that I get into generally has a lot of rock mixed up in with the mud, and it can just be a disaster. If any of you guys seen the video where me and my buddy Don Texpat got his Raptor stuck out there, we were just churning through. We're dragging our diffs on the mud and just this lava rock and mud conglomeration in there. So number one, that's really hard on tires. You need a really tough tire. And number two, you got to have really open tread to be able to keep cleaning that stuff out. Kurt Staybach says he's had good luck with the Cooper SST. Is that Kurt from Faxon Firearms? I'm curious. Chime in there, Kurt, if that's you from Faxon. It went by so fast I couldn't quite see the last name. Yeah, awesome, man. So everybody say hi to Kurt. I've been rocking that Faxon Hellfire lately. I know you guys have seen that a little bit, and I've actually got another video coming out because I've got it all built up now. I've got turned it into my Rolling Special. Black Pearl Voyager, man, hopefully you were here. I did a little bit of a shout out for you, my man. Happy New Year. Oh, and I have to give another shout out. Well, Black Pearl Voyager is on here, my man. You have to tell everyone what these were called. So check this out, you guys. I have a new favorite thing. So I'm not much of a dessert guy, but my buddy Black Pearl Voyager made these cookies, and they're a traditional Italian cookie. And I came home after he gave them to me last night. I went by his house, and after he gave them to me, I came home and I broke the corner off of one and ate it. And that was it. It was all over. It was love at first sight. And I finished both of them. So they're called crumb cacas. crumcacas. So a really traditional Italian dessert cookie. I don't even know how to explain what they taste like. They're almost like a crepe that's crispy. Yeah, I don't know, but they're just freaking awesome. They're not too sweet. They're just really, really good. Yeah, Slim chiming in here, and he's saying try any all-terrain tires. I would say that probably for most people, a good set of all-terrain tires is the way to go. They make some pretty nice, what I would almost call hybrid tires now that are a little bit more aggressive all-terrains, and I think those are some really good options. Obviously, the BFGs are one of the most classic ones. But I would say for most people, that's probably the way to go. Another thing to keep in mind is that for me, I do a lot more miles off-road. When you look at the ratio of pavement miles to off-road miles that I run, you're probably going to look long and hard to find somebody that runs as many off-pavement miles as I do, because I just do these really long trips where I do miles and miles and miles on off the pavement. And so that kind of swings a little bit in my favor. The mud terrain makes the mud terrain a decent tire for me. All right, Patriot Jeeps again said, okay, so he got the standard T4 Gazelle tent. Yeah, and says the Plus is way bigger. So, oh yeah, I saw that right after I ordered mine. I saw they came out with Overland version. So I was a little bit disappointed. Seemed like there wasn't a lot of difference, but maybe the Overland version had a little bit heavier floor in it or something like that. I don't remember what the deal was, but I was bummed because I didn't even know they had an Overland edition until after I'd already ordered mine. So we'll see what happens. So Scott McDonald on here is, I'm thinking that he's asking kind of about tire air pressure. That is something that I always do. I air down literally as soon as I leave the pavement in most cases, unless it's a really, really smooth gravel road or fairly well maintained gravel road. I usually air down as soon as I get off the pavement. And the reason why I do that is not so much for traction, although sometimes I do need that traction. But the main reason I do that is because it takes a little bit more of that shock out of my vehicle. So it just smooths the ride out, makes it more comfortable for me, but more than anything, just cuts down the wear and tear on my vehicle. All right, let's see if got any more questions coming in here. Oh, I see lots of guys chiming in with opinions on the tires and stuff. A lot of positives about the KO2s. That's obviously one of the more popular ones. The Geolanders, the Falcons. I know a lot of people that have the Falcons and run those for the most part are real happy with them. I mean, my feeling with the Falcons is, I don't feel like they're really that aggressive. I feel like they're more like a highway terrain than an all-terrain, but that's just my personal opinion. Oh yeah, so Black Pearl Voyager's got people asking him questions about the cookies, man. All right, so Andy is asking, what do I use for a compressor? That's a really good question. So I'm doing something completely different now for a compressor. What I have is, I wish I usually have some of these batteries hanging around. So you guys know that a while back I got that Makita 18-volt chainsaw, battery-powered chainsaw. Well, Makita then sent me their little handheld battery-powered air compressor. So that's what I've actually been using recently. My last couple of trips, actually on the trip I did with Sarah and Jamie and George from Southwest Idaho Overland, I took that Makita air compressor on that trip. It takes a little bit longer to air up my tires. I want to say, it's taken me like 5 minutes or something to say take my tires from 20 pounds to 30 pounds. But I don't mind it, and it's just so freaking convenient and reliable that that's kind of the direction I've gone. Before that, I have a Viair. Viair, I think, is the brand of mine. It's just one that just clips with the cables to my battery, and that's the one that I've used the most until I just recently switched to this one. Let's see. Interesting. So somebody's saying 40,000 built for explorations, got 40,000 on the Toyo mud terrains, 500 horsepower Ram. That's awesome. Someday I would love to have a rig like that. That's pretty cool. Okay, so Patty is asking, Patty Liam is asking preference on fuel can brand and size. So in my opinion, there's really only two fuel cans on the market that are worth considering. Either the military Wavian style can or the Rotopax can. This is just my personal experience. Those are the only two cans that I've had really good success with them not leaking. Those are the only two cans that I would put inside of my vehicle, inside of my Jeep, and I do. So those are the Wavian cans or the Rotopax cans. Sarah's asking, when packing my kit, do I worry about weight? I do worry about weight. And what are things that I resisted buying but have really come to love? Okay, so here's a couple of things. One is like a full-size dual burner camp stove. That's something that I didn't resist buying. I resisted like carrying it in my kit for a long time. And then just recently I've started again, and I feel like, dear Lord, why have I not been using a dual burner stove all this time? So I don't know that I'm going to use it all the time, but being able to, I've been using my single burner stoves for so many years that I forgot how nice it is to be able to have like a pot of coffee going while you're cooking your bacon at the same time. Like, I know that sounds silly, but that's just something I went away from a long time ago and had never been back. That direction. God, I was just thinking about this. There's been a few things like that recently. I don't know. I'm bummed, Sarah, because I'm not thinking of any of them right off the top of my head right now. But a full-size shovel is something that at one point I went away from, and then when I went back to it, I was like, God, why the heck did I ever go away from a full-size shovel? An axe, I love a good axe, and that's something that, I mean, I've always had an axe in my rig and with me, but that's something that I hear a lot of people or see a lot of people don't have with them that I really like. Camping Mike and K9 Buddy says right now 24 degrees on the North Rim Canyon. It's getting cold down there, huh? Yeah, so Charlie Foxtrot says he has 5 Wavian cans for fuel reserves. Yeah, those are awesome cans. Fat Matt subbed Oregon Mike. Yeah, Oregon Mike's awesome. Oh, let's see what else. Scott McDonald's has the Camp Chef. Boy, those Camp Chef stoves sure look nice. Let me take a quick little break here and look at my list. Make sure I got through everything. Let's see. We did the business items. We did the pro tip, the never walk away from your vehicle without some basic survival supplies. What's coming up? Most of this stuff you guys have heard before. I went out and filmed the last few clips I wanted to get for a detailed overview of my grandpa's truck build. So, I'm really excited about that. As you guys know, it's interesting looking at using a 21-year-old truck for my second overlanding vehicle and a vehicle that I'm going to do some really long-range trips in. But I'm looking forward to going back, simplifying even more and going old school in that truck. So hopefully this week I'll come out with that detailed overview of what we've done so far on the truck build. Probably be a separate video that I'll go over the loadout that I'm putting in it to use it. I've got that. I'm actually almost done with this as well. I'm working on like 3 different videos right now. Using the drone to recon historic sites. That's one that actually you guys have been asking about for a long time is that possible? Can you use a drone? So I've got a video coming together on that. The camping trip scheduled with Primal Outdoors is kind of up in the air right now. And big shout out to him. I hope everything's going well on his side, but it looks like they've got lots of support out there for that. And then the bug out inch pack contents video, I got to get that thing cranked out pretty soon here. So Jules Lee is asking, this is a really good question. This has come up before too, is asking, will I put a winch on Grandpa's truck? At this point, I'm not planning on putting a winch or bumpers on it. The goal for me with that truck is for longer range trips, more like road trips, right? Like I've always loved road tripping, and there's a lot of places where you can cut across big sections of country, especially in real rural areas, on like these fairly major, well-maintained gravel roads, do short little satellite runs off of them up into the hills and everything, but not the kind of trips I do in my Jeep where I'm actually trying to like route plan and, travel overland across big swaths of country through unknown road conditions. What my plan is for the truck is to do more laid back road trips. Like sometimes there'll be a combination of staying in hotels and camping. I love, like I did a trip the year before last, I did that trip, or God, maybe it was 3 years ago now. I did like that 9-day trip down into Death Valley where I would camp for 2 nights and then I'd grab a hotel one night. I actually really love staying in like little shady hotels in tiny little towns like Austin, Nevada, or Tonopah, or Burns, or wherever. Like I love staying in those little towns. I love eating in the local cafes there. I love meeting locals. I love finding out about cool things that are in those communities, historical things that you can only find out by sitting down in cafes and BSing with the locals. So that's the kind of stuff I want to do with the truck. I want to just get in that thing and drive. I want to drive like out through Idaho and go to, there's a little town out in Idaho where they had a small electric nuclear power plant and they had some kind of an issue out there, and I'll go in the history, but I want to go check out like those kinds of places, towns that don't exist anymore, but more like kind of road tripping. I guess I would call it a hybrid of like overlanding and road tripping. I mean, really kind of the whole spirit of overlanding is just adventuring and exploring. So having said all that, I'm going to keep the truck fairly streamlined. I want to keep it fairly light. I don't want to start bolting a bunch of weight on it. At some point, I would love to do something like a pop-up camper on it, give me a little bit more of a hard-sided shelter option. But that's kind of the deal. For now, I think basically the way the truck sits right now is probably the way I'll leave it as far as modifications to the running gear and all of that. Now, I may do things like an exhaust system on the truck. I may do like a cold air intake or, some performance kind of modifications like that. I also might do some updates to the inside, like, and I'm thinking, you don't think about this, but like a 21-year-old truck, like you can't Bluetooth your phone to it. So like, right now I have like a Bluetooth speaker in there so I can have hands-free talking on my phone and hear it above the engine noise. So I might put a new like stereo system in it, a new sound system in it, has Bluetooth compatibility and everything. Maybe a GMRS radio, some stuff like that. But for the most part, man, I'm going to keep the truck simple. Mojave Mike says he was in Death Valley last month also. Did Titus Canyon. Yeah, I ran Titus Canyon in my old Jeep in there. Yeah. William Harden, it just reminded me of something. He just made a comment. He says he uses his lockers only if he needs them. And that reminded me of something. So here's my philosophy on lockers for the most part is I try not to use my lockers to get me into places. I try to only use my lockers to get me out of places. Now, keep in mind, this is coming from a guy that I'm not really into like hardcore rock crawling or anything like that. So for me, lockers are like mud terrain tires or a winch. They're another piece of kind of contingency equipment that if I'm getting myself stuck or I'm getting into a position where I'm likely going to get stuck, I'll use lockers to get myself out. My experience with lockers is if I get myself stuck with all four tires locked up and everything, then I'm really, really stuck. So what I try to do is leave myself an out. A lot of that also goes back to that whole thing with me traveling solo and it being really necessary when I'm traveling solo. I have to have a little lower tolerance for risk because the price tag's a lot higher if I break down when I'm out there by myself. Let's see. I know Robert Burke's saying I got to get my ham license, and that is totally true, man. Totally true. Charlie Foxtrot is saying Jeep is a Fiat product. I have a 3-year-old Alpha. Do you have a vehicle computer issues? Do you have vehicle computer issues on or near a trail? So I haven't, but I do know that some people have. And then Adam Davidson is saying, have I ever been or do I plan to go north of the border, and does Canada Crown Land have similar accessibility as US BLM? You know, that's a good question, Adam. I would actually like to go do some exploring up in Canada, and I would like to understand a little bit more about how that Crown Land works and where you can and can't go up there. What's really appealing to me about Canada is just the vast amount of wilderness up there. There's huge swaths of forest up there to be explored that have, relatively little traffic in them. So I think there's some awesome potential up there. And I know a few guys that follow my channel from Canada. So what I'm hoping is eventually I'll be able to start kind of networking with them and kind of figure out a trip up there. That would be a trip that I would take the truck on, for example. All right, I'm just cruising, seeing if there's any more questions. So Jason Perry saying, if I end up in Idaho exploring, let him know. Yeah, man. And Jason, if you're on Instagram, hit me up with a direct message on there. So Larry Goldsberg's asking, how about a CB radio? Do you use one, hardwire or portable? So I have a portable one that I use with a external antenna that I use from time to time. Although, to be honest with you, I've used it a lot less in recent years just because it seems like everybody's kind of gone away from CBs. So there's just so few people using them. All right. You go back to this here. So, one thing that I want to try to do every week with this is give a couple of shout outs to people here and there that I've interacted with. So I kind of already gave a little shout out to Black Pearl Voyager, but I just want to leave you guys with that one. Drop a note with Black Pearl Voyager either on his Instagram or on his YouTube. If you don't follow him on Instagram, do that. He's building out his Jeep. He's finally got his YouTube channel where he's got a decent couple of videos, and I really like, he's learning how to do videos. Well, I'm still learning how to do videos too, but he's really interesting. I actually really enjoy watching the videos, man. He's just out there exploring with his wife or his gal. I don't know if they're actually married or not, but so follow Black Pearl Voyager on YouTube if you would. Do me a favor and do that. And then on Instagram too, if you're on Instagram, say hi to him. He's probably on here listening still if he hasn't got too bored of listening to me like yammering along. I also wanted to give a shout out to Scott McDonald. He's been commenting on here a couple of times, but he hit me up with a question and asked if, I think he left a comment on last week's live video asking if electric vehicles will ever be a viable option for what I do. I think the potential for electric vehicles for the kind of stuff that we do, the overlanding adventuring, I think the potential is really there. There's a couple of them that are starting to get almost there. At this point, one of the limiting factors is the range, but some of the things that they have going for them in their favor is the simplicity, the reliability, So if they can work out the range and the charging of them a little bit better to give them a little bit more range, I think that there's some real potential for electric vehicles to be some awesome overland adventure vehicles. So that's a shout out to Scott. Couple of guys on Instagram, Blind Man Overland, just a cool dude that we interact pretty regularly on there. He's been following me for a while, and I've been following him for a while. So if give a follow on Instagram to Blind Man Overland. Another cool dude on Instagram is, I gotta see if I can. I want to make sure that I get his channel name right. The Jeep Noob, down in the Nevada area, down in southern Nevada, right there. Oh, I don't know. So go give him a follow. Another cool dude, just interacts pretty regularly. He's been following my channel for a while. And so hit him up on Instagram. He's got a cool Jeep, a pretty badass Jeep, and he gets out and does quite a bit of exploring in it. And I like his camp setups and stuff in the areas that he goes. Awesome 2A Overland. Let's see. What else we got going on, guys? I think that's just about all. That's about all I got. One thing is, wanted to remind you guys too, oh yeah, we're running out of time anyway. So one thing is, like in the comments, these comments here on the live disappear, and I'm going to leave it that way. I guess there's a way I could turn them on so these live comments stay. But here's the thing is, man, I feel like these Coyote Works Camp Talk lives that we do on Sunday, like this is kind of like our time hanging out together. And I kind of think of it like Vegas, right? Like what happens here stays here. So we can have these conversations, and you guys that join in for these lives could get some interaction that not everybody else gets on my channel. But having said that, what I would like is if you guys have stuff that you want me to bring up for future topics on the Coyote Works Camp Talk lives on Sundays, leave them in the comments of this video down below. So what I try to do is right before I go live, I'll go back and cruise through, or maybe not right before, but in the morning, like this morning when I woke up, I looked through the comments on last week's Camp Talk to see if to pull a couple of the questions and a couple of the topics out. So yeah, I would say, man, let me know what you guys want to talk about. This, I kind of look like your time, my time, our time together. So whatever you guys want, man, whatever you guys want. I just enjoy hanging out with you, and I really like the interaction here. I wish there was a way that you guys could like leave me voicemail messages while I was doing this or something like that. Yeah, I have to say this is something that I really was not expecting would kind of be my thing, but it's really growing on me every Sunday. I'm kind of looking forward to this, sitting down with you guys and having this conversation, man. So with that said, I'm going to start working my way out of here. George, Southwest Idaho overlanding, Craig home. Look forward to seeing you back next week, my friend. Dirt Bandit Outdoors. Good to see you here, my friend. Finally, Robert Burke says Zoom. That is something to consider. I might experiment around with that. 2A Overland. Awesome, my friend. Again, Southwest Idaho overlanding. Jacqueline from Michigan. You rock. You're awesome. Jules Lee. Jack Gallagher. Overland, Alberta. Hey, another dude that I followed. I think he's on Instagram too. So go find Overland, Alberta. I'm seeing so many cool people on here. Scott McDonald, thank you, my friend. Patriot Jeeps, Fat Dan, Adventure Two Wheels. How's it going, man? Sarah and Nick, thank you guys so much. Enjoyed hanging out with you. Angie Jensen, Oregon Mike. Oregon Mike, you and I have to go on a trip again one of these days too. It's been on my list, man. It's just finding time. Sarah, Jamie, Happy New Year's to everyone. I hope you all had a really good Christmas. Hit me up with comments down below this video. Love to hear what you all got for Christmas. And I'm going to get out of here, do a little bit more editing this evening, grab a little bit of dinner, and see if I can't get another couple of videos out for you guys this week. I've been trying to get more content out. Hopefully you guys are noticing that. So for now, Happy New Year, everyone. Coyote Works out. I'll catch you on the next adventure.